What's up? Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I am Morrow, your storyteller for today. With me I have some more RPG horror stories. My hands look really huge compared to my face. Jesus Christ, my hands are large. At some point I do want to update the avatar, but for now I guess I'll just currently use this scraggly Morrow. I like to think of it scraggly because there's a lot of issues behind the scenes, a lot of clipping that you see that I do need to definitely fix. I need to get back into model making and make some more models. Either way, let's get some RPG horror stories for today. Oh, guess I'm a woohoo slave now. I can't say anything like that for the first 30 seconds of the video. I'm not sure if this title is within 30 seconds of the video, but just in case, I'm self-censoring because I like this YouTube channel and I want to keep doing what I'm doing. Alright, so this happened a few years back, but I was in a college tabletop group. There was one particular DM who ran games for most of the group who we'll call George for this story. Anyway, I'm preparing for the first game with him, rolling character stats, figuring out my backstory, stuff like that. According to George, I'd be jumping in to replace another player who had been team killed for being a constant thorn in the side of other players. These players would be going to the Cancun Republic, or as George described it, Bird Russia, where my new character would be introduced. So I go Aarakocra Artificer and talked at length with the DM about how my character could own a gun, store, and how he could work with the ruling government. Well, I come to my first game and I'm told by George to wait while he gets everything ready for my character introduction. The party enters the main place and meets the ruler, who offers them an assistant on a quest they're about to take for him. Instead of introducing George, I had worked out, my character was dragged out in front of the other party members, feathers torn out and severely malnourished, with his legs and arms bound. That was not at all what he agreed upon. George, however, decided to not tell me that Aarakocra was second-class citizens and the ruler had taken my character for his own personal uses. Not a great start. Yeah, it's not a good idea if the player picks a specific race or what's species that you don't let him know that something is a second-rate citizen or something like that. You should probably tell them ahead of time when they make the selection. If somebody goes, "Hey DM, I really want to play an Aarakocra Artificer. This is a good time to say this." Cool, awesome. But before you choose Aarakocra, in my world, Aarakocra are second-rate citizens that are most likely more property than they are people. And this way your player knows exactly what's up, and if they want to pick it, maybe you can figure out some sort of dynamic that lets them still be an Aarakocra but maybe not be so, I don't know, oppressed. Maybe they can pick an owlin instead, or maybe some of the other bird folk, like from the Humblewood stuff. Maybe, potentially. Anyway, if you don't let your players know exactly what sort of predisposition a specific species or race is in when they pick it, that's kind of a new DM for not letting the player know the kind of state that your game is in, or what sort of specific social cues to look out for and stuff like that. Anyway, let's continue. The game continues, my new party taking my character and leaving the place. They decide to stop in town to stop and restock when out of nowhere we're all asked to roll saves. Apparently the Aarakocra Rebellion decided that we're going to have a magically enforced march in a capital city, and you'll never guess who ought to fail the saving throw. Oh, and don't worry about if my character was seen or not, as a photograph was taken with my character front and center. So now my character is being hunted by the law enforcement. The party appropriately reacts with grabbing my character and running like hell out of the city. The party, however, decide to continue with the mission, finding the rebel HQ, easily findable in the woods next to the capital, of course. As we travel through the woods, we attacked, and I'm told by the party to hang back and hide as my character is still weak from being, imprisoned. Well, George springs in a new and awesome, his words, mechanic where whenever a party member is in an enclosed space, they need to roll a Constitution saving throw, my weakest stat. I fail, and George tells me, your character has been teleported into a pocket dimension where he is tormented by his worst nightmares and memories. He cannot escape unless someone else lets him out. I didn't return for session 2. Yeah, I wouldn't return for session 2 as well. Like, seriously, what the hell is wrong with George? Why is he putting on these weird restrictions onto the player? The player just wants to come in there and join part of the party, not just be some sort of weird woohoo slave that apparently is not just chained and malnourished and can't walk properly, needs to roll Constitution saving throws to go into a pocket dimension of endless torment and nightmare. Who puts just a random roll for Constitution to go randomly into a pocket dimension or random nightmare? Imagine you're just walking over to the store, right? You're thinking, man, I really don't know if I want to get ice cream, a Klondike bar or something. I have no idea. Oh, Constitution saving throw? All right, rolled it. Whoop, I got it too. Oh no, I'm in hell suddenly? I wouldn't want to come back to this game either. George sounds like he sucks. He doesn't sound like a really fun DM. Sounds like somebody that wants to throw in stuff for the sake of throwing in stuff because it's new, awesome, and zany and stuff. It's not awesome. It's not zany. It's not fun. Don't add it to the game. Let's move on to the next story for today. Vampire the Masquerade. DM punishes players for playing vampires. Wait, did I just read that right? DM punishes players for playing vampires, railroads them into torture fantasy. It's called Vampire the Masquerade. Vampire the Masquerade. Vampire the... Hello. I'm a roleplayer living in Russia. Привет, здрасте, как дела? I like New World of Darkness and I played a few campaigns before, so when I heard that one of my local DMs wanted to do a Vampire the Masquerade 3rd E one-shot with possible continuation as campaign, I signed up immediately. The setting was 90s of Rome. Vampire the Masquerade doesn't seem to be as popular system as D&D and we used outdated revised edition. So I'll try to explain some game terms in D&D 5e analogies. The game was planned 20 days after announcement. Our storyteller created a contacted chat for the players and invited 40 random people into it, half of which called him slurs and left immediately. Apparently storyteller wanted to do a one-shot for 10 people at once. Fortunately this plan never came to fruition because the game was set on Tuesday noon. We ended up having a 4-player party which was still mismanaged. Name changed for anonymity. Storyteller, a few other players called him the sadistic DM. Me, Vin Diesel starring as a Russian pimp. Gangrel, basically a fighter vampire. Rolling, raging homophobe who threw a fit 2 days before the game because I called, well, real J.K. Rowling a weirdo. If I knew he would be there, I wouldn't go, and I realized that it was him only in the middle of the session. Ironically, he wasn't a problem this session. Rowling played Malkavian Rider. Extras, unfortunate captive audience. One was a guy who played a hunter, a mortal who hunts vampires. The other one really wanted to play a fairy. Storyteller promised to help her make a character using Changeling the Dreaming Book, but her character had to be finished during the game. Pretty much what they got to do was roleplay with each other and get lore dumped by NPCs. Storyteller handwaved my suggestion to ask the players for the lines and veils. I have no idea what lines and veils are. I'm assuming it's an important mechanic. Since I had some experience with World of Darkness, I created my character in advance and sent to the storyteller. Others seemed to have trouble with it, so they decided to finish the creation during the game. I grabbed a few pre-made characters just in case. Most people, including storyteller, arrived 30 to 50 minutes late. Just before the game, I recommended storyteller to write down important information about the characters, most notably Merit's bot and starting experience. Common sense for me. Storyteller has to warn you if you are about to do something stupid, and Sixth Sense for everybody else. Passively deflects paranormal abilities, basically Paladin's divine sense. He said he would just remember. Storyteller forgets about it immediately and then looks confused each time someone brings those out. Also suggest him to make us have connected backstories, especially for the hunter, but he says that he has our introductions planned already. So the game starts. Storyteller asks who wants to go first and I take the lead. I describe my vampire's ridiculous novel rich appearance, his greasy pancakeria, and then a phone rings. I ask my ghoul, a stereotypical Russian granny, to pick it up. She calls me an egghead and tells me to frick off. In World of Darkness this is a big deal. Ghouls are people who drank vampire blood regularly. Vampire blood basically makes you love the vampire unconditionally. This is called a blood bond. When a ghoul speaks up against their master, something is definitely wrong. I take the phone. It's the prince, ruler of local vampires, who wants to see me immediately. Before leaving, I try to force feed the ghoul some blood to make the bond stronger just in case. Storyteller has an audacity to ask for an intimidation check, which I fortunately passed. I cut my mouth with a knife and feed the granny blood, like an adult bird to a hatchling. Despite obvious physical effects of feeding, she still insults me. Told that she's working with extra shift tonight and go to the prince. If you're literally biting the hand that feeds you, then what's the point of having that ghoul? Toss him aside, get a new ghoul. Easy peasy. Also, why is Granny called Babushka? I'm a little offended. I offer Storyteller to switch to a different player, but he asked me how I get to the prince's bar. I hire a gondolier and feed on my way there if possible. You can feed on the gondolier if you want. Cool. Actually, I want to blood bond him, same way as with Granny. So I wait for the boat to go under bridge and grapple him. Gangrel, how much blood do you have in your body right now? 6 out of 8, why? You're starving, make a frenzy check. Wait, really? Remind me, how do frenzy checks work in the system? Just roll a d10. I roll a 4. Storyteller smiles. You succumb to frenzy and suck him out dry, Giggity. My bullcrap sense is tingling. I don't think frenzy check works that way. They work this way on my table. Now, what do you do with a corpse? Wait, no, I have lucky as a merit. I'll re-roll. I roll 3 and sign disappointment. This is even worse. However, Storyteller rolls his eyes and says, fine, you manage to subdue your hunger. The boat comes out from under the bridge, and passerbys can see you both kissing sensually. Hell yeah, I didn't kill a man. Is that a thing that happens? Is the lower the roll, the better? You just end up instead of going frenzy, you just have frenzy for a kiss. Mwah. I'm not a big fan of intimacy in TTRPGs. One of the extras explicitly stated that she isn't comfortable role-playing a romancing group of guys. More importantly, we live in Russia where LGBT is banned. We play at a public place, a cafe, and the waitress had given us worried looks. I rolled the scene and hurried to the prince, who hangs in a bar with whom Storyteller describes just as a stereotypical ventru. No appearance, no interior, as he even has to take a pause to remember his name. The prince tells me to retrieve some scroll from a church, and I leave after it immediately. The introduction of my character was long and full of DM antagonism, but other players didn't get even that. Rolling was just presented in Prince's waiting room. With Rolling asked to hunt too, Storyteller just said that servants brought him blood bags. Now we just took taxi to the church. The extras pretty much appeared out of thin air in the middle of the field and were given no direction. They had to roleplay with each other while Storyteller was smiling until he finally said that Hunter had an appointment in the same church. Then he switched back to us. Storyteller describes this church. It's big and it's surrounded by bonfires and a few chanting people in robes. The description is very shallow. Storyteller fails to mention that the church is supposed to be abandoned, as well as trucks being presented nearby, or how these people even look. Rolling suggests sneaking past them. I offer to summon firefighters using one of my character's features first, at least to create diversion. Take out the bonfires, because vampires are vulnerable to fire. Firefighters arrive and do nothing. Apparently, priest puts them under hypnosis or something. Then we both decide to approach the gathering. As we move in, the firefighter captain regains his composure and starts arguing with the priest that neighbors are concerned about the fire safety. Rolling says that the gathering doesn't let him sleep at night. I pretend to be a deeply religious person who is offended by this gathering. Then priest raises a crucifix in his hand, which causes both players to make a willpower check. We both pass, and Storyteller says that nothing happens. Activate Celerity, basically fighter's action surge from D&D but better, and grab his crucifix. Storyteller silently rolls some dice behind the screen, and then says, your hands start smoking and turn into charcoal. You take 3 damage. What damage? Bashing? Lethal? Aggravating? Lethal. Oh, crap, I'll let it go then. I guess the rest of the cultists are looking at me, right? Yes, they're about to reach for their pistols. What pistols? Yes, all of them are armed. What'd you expect? Oh, crap. Well, I spent my second action to fall back in cover. Basically, I want to look as afraid and pathetic as possible and lure them into chasing me in the darkness. I shake and stumble back with mouth agape. My hand is bleeding. I'll try to covertly draw a wet stain on my pants. The description of my character covered in fear, even fake one, makes Storyteller smile wildly. Sure, roll expression. I roll critical success. Yes, all 6 of them have their eyes locked on you. They're going to chase you no matter what. They aren't even looking at Rolling. Rolling decides to hide behind the truck and wait to sneak in. Then I dodge and try to run around the second fire truck. I'll try to run to the gardens where it is dark. Then I'll ambush them there. Got it. They'll pull revolvers and shoot you. Wait, I didn't roll for dodging. And by the way, Storyteller, don't forget that mortals can't see well at night. Their attempts to shoot me with the revolvers are penalized, plus the penalty for multiple actions per turn. I assume they don't have celerity. Revolvers? No, only Priest has a revolver. The rest of them have SMGs. Oh, crap. Anyway, I stay by my decision. I cry like a little bitch and run to the gardens, ready to jump back at the pursuers. If I lose my sight of them, I turn back. Yes, all the huntsmen are run after you. As for Rolling, well, firefighters are scared of the priest, so they jump into the fire engines and drive away. Rolling, you take 3 damage because you were hiding under the fire truck and it runs over you. Wait, no, they weren't hiding under the fire truck, they were hiding behind a fire truck. This Storyteller is the worst, dude. He just saying, what's going on here, dude? What is this? What is this? What is this Storyteller about? This sounds like a nightmare game. Why is every Vampire the Masquerade story like one of the stupidest or the worst stories ever? It's just so infuriating. The entire table objects. They all heard that Rolling was hiding behind the truck, not under it. Fine, you approach the church. Yeah, go straight in. Not so fast. As you try to come closer, you notice that there's a sniper on a rooftop. Rolling climbs on church wall from behind and sneaks behind the sniper. Somehow the sniper sees him. Rolling grapples the sniper and sniper jumps off the roof, so they both crush on the ground. The entire combat is wrong, but I get some schadenfreude from this character being maimed by a random mortal. Because I'm still salty about his homophobic rants yesterday. Rolling tries to feed from the dead sniper, then he's approached by 2 huntsmen with SMGs, who instantly down him and put a wooden stake in his heart. I mildly object because these huntsmen were supposed to chase after me, but this time storyteller puts his foot down. Rolling is sent to a torpor. He isn't dead, but paralyzed until someone feeds him blood. His character spends the next 4 hours of the game unable to do anything, and he constantly tries to convince the extras to revive him. After the next 40 minutes of lore dumping, storyteller switches to me. I get the players have like personal issues with each other and everything, but like nothing is more annoying than having a player that literally just has to sit around, do nothing. For 4 hours, mind you, 4 hours your player is just unable to do anything and just asking others, hey, can you guys help me? Can you guys revive me? 4 hours of that would be infuriating. I would have just left. After the next 40 minutes of lore dumping, storyteller switches to me. You spend 5 hours waiting in the amber. You have been silent for a while, but now you hear someone approaching. Wait, I told you I kept the huntsman inside at all times. Did you? I don't remember that. Well, it is what it is now. You see a bum. He wears rags. His face is black and he is stinky. That's some BS. Okay, whatever. I'll whisper to the homeless person, Senor, you shouldn't be here. There are armed criminals roaming near the church. Armed criminals? Why wouldn't you climb out of your compost pile and look around? I never said I was going to hide in a compost pile. Anyway, I kept trying to send him off. It's dangerous here. Go home. Is it though? Then what do you do here? I'm looking for my keys. Please leave. And the nearest road is in that direction. Try to point direction away from the church to minimize the risk of the guy running into huntsmen. Sure, he leaves. Will you climb out of the dung pile? I'm not in a dung pile. I was supposed to just run in the edge of the garden and just jump in a huntsman in darkness. Anyway, what do I see? You see several piles of clothes full of sand. You recognize huntsman clothes. Great, storyteller killed those NPCs in Deus Ex Machina. After the game I asked about his encounter, turns out this random bum was a mummy. What is going on in this game, dude? What is happening in this game? Dudes just turned to sand? The bum was just a mummy? I'm assuming this isn't normal for Vampire the Masquerade. Or maybe it is normal. I actually want to watch somebody play like a normal game of Vampire the Masquerade so maybe I understand what normal is. Because every single Vampire the Masquerade story that I've ever read or ever watched videos on from Crispy or anybody, it always seems like Vampire the Masquerade is the one game that always has some sort of a disaster happen to it no matter what. I gather the passports and leave to the nearest road. Do they have the scroll by any chance? No. I leave. A couple of pointless dream sequence and a lore dump later, the extras load into the truck and move out of the church. I walk to the city of Rome on foot while trying to hitchhike a car. There's 0 cars driven by except this said truck was with a huntsman and all the other players. I assume this is when storytelling makes the party join together. Keep walking down the road with a thumbs up, attempting to get a lift. Drivers can't see you. He doesn't slow down. Why? He just can't? Your actions? I run to the middle of the road and wave and scream. How can he not see me? Are his headlights broken? He can't see you and runs over you. You receive... oh wait, a dodge. Storyteller gives me a sour look, but allows it. 3 successes. In Vampire, this means succeeded by a wide margin. Oh, fine. You barely dodge the truck and fall into the ditch. The truck keeps driving away. I memorize its number. It's dark, you can't see it. I have protein, I can see in the dark. What's the number? There is no number. Are there any other distinguishing features about the car or the driver? No, no features. Just a regular Toyota truck. Your next action? So you can see the make and model of the car. You can see that it's a Toyota truck, but you can't get the license plate? This storyteller sucks. Find the nearest booth and report it to the cops. Sure you do. This leads to nowhere. Then he switches to the rest of the party. They arrive to an undisclosed location. Rolling is thrown into the fridge. The priest continues to lore dump at the extras while Rolling complains about being paralyzed. Eventually the priest decides to interrogate the captured vampire. Rolling sits in a freezer tied to a chair with blood bags connected to him and pieces of metal penetrating his various vitals. The chair is the only vividly described object in this game. Priest pulls out the wooden stake out of the heart, and storyteller out of character says, "You were whining this whole time, so I have to punish you, remove 2 permanent willpower. This happened because you had to heal a lot of damage." Yes. What else was I supposed to do? Sit back and do nothing? Remove 3 willpower. Whatever they remove for willpower, I'm assuming just the DM trying to punish the player for something because of the whining. Storyteller sounds so passive aggressive and so hurt over something. I don't know what's going on. I feel like they just power tripping at this point. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like they just love to power trip. Roland complies. Hits a bunch of possible actions trying to escape or improve his situation. But storyteller shuns each of it down and says that the priest's faith is too powerful or you're too weak from lack of blood. Roland tries to convince the priest to untie him, to give him more blood, etc. But nothing works. The priest yells at him, threatening to throw him under the sun unless he cooperates and tells him everything he knows about the local vampire community. Eventually, Roland gives up and tells him all he knows. Then the priest puts his hand on his head. Storyteller does a bunch of dice rolls behind the screen without explanation and says, "You're lucky today. You feel terribly afraid, and unknown energies wash all over your body. The fairy sees mysterious spectral entities full of tasty glamour entering your body. Then the priest runs to the wall and presses a button on it. Suddenly the roof opens up and he kicks your chair right under the sky. But you don't die. You feel your heart beating and blood flowing under your skin. The priest turns you back to human." You're playing Vampire the Masquerade to become human. Incredible! Incredible! I don't know that's the purpose of the game, or this storyteller, this DM, GM, whatever the hell he is just trying to reroll people just to screw them over in one way or the other, but it's stupid. It's so stupid. I just don't get it. I just don't. What is this? What is this story? One of the extras starts laughing uncontrollably at mysterious freezer with movable roof. Roland is confused about what he's supposed to do with his character sheet now. The session pretty much ends there. Later, storyteller posted his own report. In it, he gloats how he outplayed us all and how he subjected Roland, the player, not the character, to divine judgment TM. Also, he complains that Roland didn't die to become a tool in service of huntsmen. It's in Russian, but you can read it here. Oh my god, yeah, he literally wrote the entire story, basically gloating how you basically won Vampire the Masquerade. It's all in Russian. Like, if you really want to plug in the link, you can. It just gives you a paste bin. It's literally just all in Russian, but you can translate if you want to. Google Translate is not gonna do the greatest for you. I recommend like ChatGPT translation or something. That's probably gonna be the most accurate potentially. He's literally just gloating about like, oh, he just won Vampire the Masquerade and gives away the divine judgment. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. This storyteller fucking sucks, dude. This storyteller is literally the worst I've ever seen. The more stories I read about Vampire the Masquerade, the more I'm like, I really don't want to try it. I really do not want to try it. It sounds intriguing. It sounds like something I might want to like actually try and be kind of into. It sounds fascinating. But like the more stories I read, the more I'm like, nope, I'm just staying away forever. Well, with that being our last story for today, I guess my moral of the story is don't be the storyteller. Don't be this conniving, snide little bitch that constantly wants to try to reroll people to not be vampires. If people are playing Vampire the Masquerade, they want to play as vampires. If you don't want to play as a vampire, there's so many other systems that can go play. Simple as that. But you know, the one thing I never tried actually, and I'm thinking like in D&D, I never played a Dampier. I'm kind of want to play a Dampier now. I'm going to make a Dampier character and I'm going to play it in the campaign at some point. I don't know when, but I definitely want to do it. And with that, that's going to be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales Tomorrow. Bye-bye.